Let me tell you something that took me a long time to say out loud because for years it was how a lot of guys in my trade paid their boat payment. If a company is coming out every summer to add refrigerant to your air conditioner, and they call it a tune-up, and they hand you a bill, and they wave goodbye until next July when they do the exact same thing again, you are not being serviced, you are being farmed, you are a crop. And I want to walk you through why in plain English, so the next time somebody says your system is a little low, you know exactly what those words mean and exactly what they don't. Here's the whole thing in one sentence. Refrigerant is not fuel. It does not get used up. It does not burn off. It does not evaporate out of a healthy system over the winter. It runs around inside a sealed loop over and over for the entire life of that unit, and it never leaves. So if your system is low, there is only one reason. It leaked out. Somewhere in that sealed loop there is a hole. Small or big, but a hole. Let that sink in because everything else falls out of it. If a man tells you your system needs a top-off every year, what he is actually telling you, whether he means to or not, is that you have a leak he is not fixing. He is pouring water in a bucket with a hole in the bottom and charging you for the water every single time, and the hole is still there. It's bigger now, probably. I sat at a lot of kitchen tables over 40 years, and I'll tell you the conversation I hated most. A nice couple retired on a fixed income, and they'd say, "Hank, our guy comes every summer and puts in the Freon, and we're good for another year." And they said it proud, like they had a system that worked. And I had to decide right there over their coffee whether to tell them the truth. That they'd paid for that same refrigerant 4, 5, 6 years running, that if somebody had just found the leak in year 1, they'd have spent the money once instead of forever. Refrigerant is what makes the cold. I'll keep this simple. That gas gets squeezed and let go, and every time it does, it moves heat out of your house and dumps it outside. That's air conditioning. That's the whole trick. There's no cold being made. There's just heat being carried out the door, and refrigerant is the truck that carries it. So when you're low, you don't have enough trucks running, and the heat stays in your living room. Now, here's where I have to be straight with you, and this is the part the DIY crowd on the internet will not tell you. You cannot buy a can and recharge this thing like your car. I know they sell kits. I know it looks easy in the videos. Refrigerant is regulated by law, and handling it wrong hurts you. It comes out cold enough to freeze the skin off your hand in a second. That's called frostbite, and it is not a maybe, it's a burn. And getting the charge right is not squirt and guess. Put too much in, you can wreck the compressor, and the compressor is the single most expensive part in the whole machine. So this one lives on the pros side of the fence. I'm not going to walk you through doing it because a man who cared about you wouldn't. But here's what I am going to do. I'm going to arm you. Because most of the time, when somebody tells you you're low on refrigerant, you are not low on refrigerant. You've got something cheap and simple going on, and they're selling you the expensive story because the expensive story pays better. So before you believe a single word about refrigerant, walk through this with me. The first thing, your filter, I mean it. Go pull it right now or right after this. If that filter is gray and packed solid, your system is choking. It cannot breathe. And a system that can't breathe acts exactly like a system that's low on refrigerant. The coil gets too cold, the air coming out gets weak, sometimes it ices right up. I have watched grown men quote a refrigerant charge on a unit that just had a filter you could have stood a spoon up in. A filter is a few dollars. Refrigerant is not. Start there every single time. The second thing, that coil needs to breathe too. Inside your furnace or air handler there's a coil, looks like a little car radiator, and if it's caked in dust and pet hair, same story. Starved for air. Acts low when it isn't. That's a job you can look at, and a real cleaning is a fair, honest service call. But it is a fraction of what you'd pay chasing refrigerant that was never the problem. The third thing, and this is the big tell, go outside and look at the fat copper line running into your unit. If that line is frosted, if it's got ice on it, ice on the pipe, everybody's first instinct, including a lot of technicians, is to holler low refrigerant, and sometimes it is. But a dirty filter causes that ice. A dirty coil causes that ice. A weak blower fan causes that ice. Ice on the line is a symptom, not a diagnosis. Anybody who sees ice and immediately reaches for a refrigerant tank is skipping every cheap answer to get to the expensive one. And here's what you do if you see ice, because this matters. Shut the cooling off. Turn the thermostat to off, but leave the fan running on. Just the fan. Let it run and let that ice melt. Could take a couple hours. Don't go chipping at it. Don't take a hairdryer to it. Just let the air thaw it out. Because I'll tell you a dirty little secret. If a guy tries to add refrigerant to a frozen system, his reading is garbage. The ice lies to the gauge. So some of these top-off men are literally charging your system based on a number that isn't even true. Thaw it first, fix the filter, then see if you still even have a problem. Half the time, you don't. Now let's talk about the scam itself, because I want you to see the shape of it. A real technician, when he finds you're low, does not just dump gas in and leave. He asks the question you should ask him. Where is it leaking? Because he knows refrigerant doesn't vanish, so he goes looking. There are honest ways to find a leak: soap bubbles on the fittings, electronic sniffers, dye. He finds the hole. Then he tells you what it costs to fix it, and he tells you straight whether it's worth fixing on a system your age, or whether you're better off putting that money toward a new one down the road. The scam artist skips all of that. He never looks for the leak, because the leak is his business model. If he fixes it, you don't call him next July. If he just tops you off, you're on the hook forever, a little more each year as that hole grows. He's not selling you a repair. He's selling you a subscription, and he never told you you subscribed. Now, I'll be fair, because honest is the whole point here. There is one situation where topping off makes sense, and you deserve to know it. If you've got a real slow leak, an old system, and a pro has already found it and told you the repair costs more than the unit's worth, then adding a little refrigerant once to limp it through one more summer while you save up, that can be a reasonable, eyes-open choice. That's not a scam. That's you and an honest tradesman making a money decision together. The difference is you know about the leak. You know it's a bandage, and nobody's pretending it's a fix. The scam is when they hide the leak from you and sell the bandage as a cure year after year after year. So here's how you tell the two apart at your own kitchen table. You ask 3 questions. Where is the leak? What does it cost to actually fix it? And what's my temperature split? That last one is the tell that separates a pro from a parts changer. The split is just the difference between the warm air going into your system and the cool air coming out. A healthy system pulls that air down a good chunk, somewhere in the neighborhood of a 15 to 20 degree drop on a normal day. A man who checks your split is measuring the truth. A man who never checks it and just reaches for a gauge is selling. Ask those 3 questions and watch his face. An honest man answers them easy because he already checked. The other fella starts talking fast about how these systems just need a little Freon every year. And now you know that sentence is a lie, not a stretch. A lie. Because refrigerant does not get used up, and a system that needs it every year has a hole that somebody is choosing not to fix. That's the whole game. That's what 40 years taught me that they'd rather you never learned. So here's what I want you to actually do today. Walk over to your system and put your hand on that fat copper line. If it's sweating, that's normal, that's fine, that's a system breathing easy. If it's wearing a coat of frost, you don't have a refrigerant emergency, you've got a question to ask. And now you know the question. You're not the crop anymore. Folks kept asking me to put all of this in one place. So I sat down and wrote a little guide, everything I'd tell my own neighbor over the fence, no filler. It's over at hanksheetguide.com, and the link's in the description and pinned right at the top. No pressure at all. The channel stays free, always has. I'm Hank. Go check your filter.